The Watford players huddling round in a circle just before kick-off. Bad news for Steve Bruce arriving today is that they've only won just one of their last 8 here north of the M25 at Vicarage Road. Newcastle going for a bright orange away kit, which is going to make things difficult as Watford wear their gold with black shorts, home side strip. And with the first whistle, the players take a knee to show that Black Lives Matter and that the Premier League is united against racism. And they rise back to their feet, and we are going to get underway here. Craig Pawson is the referee. Let's roll back to the safety of Kabasele to launch long. Remember, Watford, if they win this afternoon and Norwich fail to win, if Norwich fail to win and Watford pick up more than a point, I should say, then that will condemn them to relegation. It's not really a worry for Watford this afternoon what happens at Carrow Road. And I'm sure Daniel Farker will be concerned about what happens here. He needs a Newcastle victory to aid their quest to stay in the Premier League. Early free kick as Troy Deeney just knocks over Alain Saint-Maximin, returning to the starting lineup this afternoon. One of 5 changes to Steve Bruce's side that were beaten 5-0 by Man City on Wednesday night, along with the likes of Manquillo, Jamal Lascelles, Miguel Almiron and Dwight Gale getting a rare start. It's his 7th start of the season. It's a long ball in the direction of Dwight Gale in the Watford penalty area. It bounces down on the ground. It's flicked on off the head of Will Hughes on the second bounce. Then cleared long. Lascelles is pushed off the ball by Troy Deeney. Referee waves play on. Launched forward but cut out along the ground here by Messina. Can launch it long. Deeney wins the header. It might drop down for Takore. Beats the ball by John Joe Shelvey. Now Danny Rose over on the far side can give it over to Matt Ritchie. Minute and a half in. Watford 0, Newcastle 0. And there's a stoppage in play. I'll run you through the 2 sides in full. Safely back here with Federico Fernandez. Started his last 25 Premier League games. Scored their own goal though on Wednesday night in that 5-0 thrashing by the now former Premier League champions Manchester City. It's Fabian Schär in the middle of the midfield for Newcastle. Bright sunny day here. Takore knocks over Matt Ritchie, and the referee took a long time to give the free kick the other way because Ritchie had stayed down. Well, the protest is that the Watford midfielder won the ball cleanly. Craig Pawson has pulled it back, so I'll run you through the 2 teams. 4-2-3-1 for Watford this afternoon, with Ben Foster in goal. Defence from right to left of Femenia, Kabasele, Dawson and Messina. Then it's Capoue and Hughes as the 2 holding midfielders, with Sarr on the right, Welbeck on the left, and Takore just in the hole behind Troy Deeney. Femenia, Kabasele, Dawson and for Newcastle. Dubravka in goal in a 4-4-1-1, with Manquillo, Lascelles, Fernandez and Rose making up the back 4. Saint-Maximin will whip in a cross, goes right across the goal mouth, and it's going to go behind for a goal kick. Saint-Maximin on the right, Schär, Shelvey and Ritchie making up the midfield quartet, with Almiron just behind Dwight Gale. We appear to have lost our feed to Watford Newcastle. Games behind closed doors, of course. This is going to be Ben Foster to take the kick. Launch it long upfield. Troy Deeney trying to win the header. Eased off the ball by Federico Fernandez, and that will be a foul given against Troy Deeney. Craig Pawson had his arm up. John Joe Shelvey can work it back to Federico Fernandez. And booted upfield by Lascelles. Long ball looking for Saint-Maximin, that's headed out of play by Dawson. And out for a throw on this right flank. Thrown infield looking for Almiron. Now collected in the midfield but given away. Collected now by Fabian Schär. Now to Almiron trying to turn on the edge of the box. Dwight Gale looking to get the ball away from his feet. Tackled by Messina. The loose ball will break over to this right flank now for Alain Saint-Maximin. A couple of step overs from the skillful Frenchman. He's able to win his side and throw in on this right wing.
Haven't really created too much, but have dominated the ball, forced Norwich back into their own half. I think the one worry for West Ham would be that Norwich...
And Quillo will take the throw.
And it's a shot to nothing for them. The players have got no pressure on them whatsoever.
Looking for runners inside the box, gives it off to Saint-Maximin. Beaten off the ball by Welbeck, and it's out for a Watford throw. And we'll just hand you back now to John Anderson and Chris Perry for just a brief moment.
Has he? No, he hasn't. I thought he had, but the flag has gone up on this near side. It's going to be a throw into West Ham United. We mentioned the Chelsea win. It is their only win in 7 games, though, West Ham United, and 2 wins in the last 14, which is a dismal record, really, and says a lot about why they're in such a bad position. What they do well this season is beat clubs who are current bottom 6. They haven't lost to any of the clubs in and around them. Hoping to do a double over Norwich City, who they beat earlier in the season. Here's Declan Rice, England international, holding midfield player. He's playing deeper than Noble. Certainly Noble's pushed a little way forward, almost as if he's not one of the holding midfield players. It's almost a 4-1-4-1 for West Ham, I'd say.
Yeah, Fornals as well. It's certainly not coming infield to really give West Ham a real overload in that midfield, really give them an advantage in there. Too many players for Teti and Vrantic to handle, and Cresswell's going to have to get forward down the left-hand side, because you feel that Fornals won't.
This through Twitter at TalkSport Live. Here's Mikel Antonio into the box. Good ball chance. Souček, he's put it wide. Well, it was a good opportunity for West Ham United, and once I just had a look up, saw Souček edge of the box, side foot effort, should have hit the target, I think.
This is where I feel is Michael Antonio's best position, playing wide left, coming inside, cutting on his right foot. He picks out a beautiful ball to Souček on the edge to the bottom corner, gets it about a yard wrong, gets it wide of the post, but
early goal, won't they? Here's Noble flicking it, getting it all wrong. He tried to lob it in the direction of either Bowen or Souček, who'd got forward into the box and succeeded only in lobbing it straight into the gloves of Norwich goalkeeper Tim Krul. Wrong. He tried to lob it in the direction of either Bowen or Souček. Nice to hear from you guys. John, thank you. Hazard, greetings from sweltering New England. Wonderful to hear the dynamic duo commentating again. We're now comfortably at that point of the season where bottom of the table matches can be compelling as top 6 matches. I agree with that. I think relegation scraps are more interesting than who's going to qualify for the Europa League. You know what I mean?
Too. Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
This is more important. This is worth so much to the club and the players. No one wants to the club going back what is the best league in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And 2 big clubs involved, West Ham and Villa. You know, both of the Claret and Blues have an illustrious history in English football, and both of whom are clubs that most people would think are normally considered to be big top-flight clubs. Here come Norwich, though. This is little Hernandez, the Cuban, and he did well there to find Stiepermann, who couldn't quite get his shot away. It's not yet clear for West Ham. Here's Stiepermann again, trying to set up Buendia, who scored a great goal at Watford. Buendia sets up a strike-on goal, but not a particularly good one from Mario Vrančić, but that was the Canaries' best little spell.
Well, apologies for that. We are now back here at Vicarage Road, trying to fix out a few of the gremlins in our system. It is Newcastle who have won themselves a free kick over on the far side, midway inside the Watford half. 9 minutes gone, you haven't missed anything. Still Watford 0, Newcastle 0. If you are listening in, please do tweet me at TalkSport Live. Let me know where you're listening from and who you're supporting today. On what is obviously a very big afternoon if you're a Norwich fan, but also a big afternoon if you're a Watford fan, of course, because depending on what happens there and what happens here, you will take a massive step to safety, depending on how the results go. Free kick now for Newcastle. Going to be over on the far side. It's Matt Ritchie who will just play it in short to John Joe Shelvey. Shelvey will float that ball into the penalty area off the head of Cabasele and behind for a corner. First one of the afternoon for Newcastle. Lots of pressure that the away side can put on Watford here. On 5 games so far this season away from home. Not won 6 away Premier League games in a season since 7 under Alan Pardew in 2013-14. Shelvey will take the corner. It comes in. Might come back to the far post. Really good save from Ben Foster. And then cleared away. That one dropped in quite nicely. It was almost Miguel Almiron. He was able to apply the finish, but a good save by Ben Foster at the near post. Cabasele over on the far side. Now getting it off to Will Hughes on the halfway line. Switches it to Decore. 10.5 minutes gone. Watford 0, Newcastle 0. It's going to be Messina to bring the ball forward. He'll whip in the cross, waiting for Deeney, arriving late at the far post. Headed up in the air by Federico Fernandez. Ritchie will try and hook it away. In fact, Shelvey that boots it upfield, chested down by Cabasele. And Shelvey getting to the loose ball. Beaten off of it, though, by a mixture of Capoue and Will Hughes. Now worked out to the far right flank for Sarr to whip in that cross. Cleared away, though, by the man just inside the box, which is Federico Fernandez for Newcastle. The defender at the near post. Again played in by Sarr. Again cleared away by Federico Fernandez, but Watford keeping the ball, holding on to possession. Here's Will Hughes, middle of the midfield. Hearing that West Ham have gone 1-0 up against Norwich. That's a big goal, certainly for them and maybe for Watford in their fight for survival. Decore tries to chip this ball in from the right side of the penalty area. Again, it's cleared away by the Newcastle defence. Fabian Schär got that one clear. It's with Miguel Almiron, who claims handball as Hughes intercepts. It goes out of play for a throw-in over on the far side. It just dropped down to Miguel Almiron. It was a good save by Ben Foster. Hit him in the chest. But he scurried across his line to cover that far post. He did well to make up the ground and make himself look very big, to occupy as much of the goal as possible. Make a very important save. Ben Foster, one of 3 players to start every single Premier League game under Pearson, along with Troy Deeney and Etienne Capoue. He's had 9 clean sheets so far this season. And a good save there means he could be on for clean sheet number 10. Ball had a play for a throw-in on this near side. As it stands with the live league table, West Ham leading by a goal to 0. It means that they will leapfrog Watford. It will relegate Norwich as it stands, but Watford still out of the bottom 3. 13 minutes gone, Watford 0, Newcastle 0. Pleased to say that we've managed to sort out our effects of the crowd, or lack of the crowd I should say, but doing our best to give you some sort of atmosphere, obviously with the football taking place socially distanced, with all the rules in place here in England with the Premier League. It's now worked out to this right flank to find Manquillo on the halfway line. 13.5 minutes gone. Watford 0, Newcastle 0. Decore pickpocketed Shelvey there. Decore could be away. Decore trying to go down the right flank. Sliding tackle from Danny Rose. Wins back the ball. It's thumped up long by Dubravka. Roll out a play over on the far side for a Watford throw. Dubravka, 1 clean sheet in 4 appearances versus Watford. Did save a penalty from Troy Deeney back in November 2018. He's the only Newcastle player to play every minute so far this season under Steve Bruce. Yet to really be tested though by the Watford attackers. It's Femenia finding Will Hughes, kept in well by Jamal Assar. Now it's going to roll out to play. It was a slightly heavy touch there by Ismail Assar. Joint top scorer this season with 6, sharing that honour with Troy Deeney. It's actually the youngest Premier League starter for Watford at just age 22. Everyone else is either 24 or older for Nigel Pearson's men. So far they are doing just enough to keep themselves in the Premier League. Obviously be interested to see how Aston Villa and Bournemouth get on this weekend, especially with the news that West Ham are 1-0 up against Norwich. Decore with the cross, looking for Welbeck, challenged well but beaten off the ball by Manquillo, and it drops down here to John Joe Shelby, coming away in that bright orange shirt, giving it off to Alain Saint-Maximin on the halfway line, on the right flank, cutting in field the Frenchman. Nice few step overs, but he's tackled. He might have been caught there and he stayed down. Referee though, Craig Pawson, has waved play on, and Watford will look to counter. Here's Welbeck, his pass is just behind Will Hughes, collected by Etienne Capoue. Works it out wide to Kiko Femenia. Deliver this cross to the far post, looking for Danny Welbeck. Oh, is it off the post and in? No! It was saved by Dubravka. He looks at the referee, Craig Pawson. He thinks that maybe it might have crossed the line, but I think Dubravka did just enough to keep it out. It was a slightly scuffed effort from Danny Welbeck. Dubravka got across his line well, just pushed the ball onto the post. It rebounded off the frame of the goal and onto the goalkeeper once more. As I look at the replay, and I think he has just done enough to keep that out. Lascelles was very quick to whip the ball away off the line. We'll look now with Hawkeye on the goal decision system. And did Lascelles do enough? Wow, there's half of the ball is still on the line. It is no goal. And Newcastle hang on by centimetres there. First real sniff at goal for Danny Welbeck. Scored, of course, on Tuesday night with a overhead kick. First goal for him in a Watford shirt. Almost made it 2-2. If it weren't for a vital save from Dubravka. 17 minutes gone. Watford 0, Newcastle 0. Here's Messina. Back to Craig Dawson. Not to be confused with Craig Pawson, who's the referee. Man on VAR today, by the way, Stuart Atwell. It's Will Hughes giving the ball back to Kabasele. Now to Etienne Capoue. His pass is cut out. Capoue comes in with a good strong header. Frenchman comes rearing forward. And I think that might be a foul for a high boot on Etienne Capoue. He did lean in when he needed to get ahead of Fabian Schär. But then went racing after the ball. Take it quickly to Nigel Pearson's side. 3 points clear of Bournemouth starting this afternoon, who take on Leicester on Sunday. Hughes with the pass now to this left flank for Messina. Now into Danny Welbeck, midway inside the Newcastle half. He's been dispossessed by Saint-Maximin. It's booted clear. And now down to the feet of Miguel Almiron, just inside the centre circle. Works it out wide to Matt Ritchie. And again to Almiron, the nice 1-2 with the Paraguayan. And they can work it out wide once more here, Steve Bruce's side, to Fabian Schär. Chips it over the top, but it's overhit, and it's safely back in the arms of Ben Foster, the Watford goalkeeper. Conceded 53 goals this season. Only Tim Krul and Aaron Ramsdale have conceded more with 56. Did have, of course, a disastrous start to the season, Watford, sacking Javi Gracia bringing in Quique Sanchez Flores and then sacking him again before settling on Nigel Pearson, which seems to have been the winning formula so far. Very bad tackle from Danny Rose. Just catching Sarr there. Danny Rose on loan from Tottenham. Just came crashing through the back there. The Senegalese winger. Don't think he got much of the ball. Certainly got a bit of the man. That's why it's a free kick. About 10 yards inside the Newcastle half. You can tweet into @TalkSportLive. Let me know where you're listening from today. It's going to be Capoue to send this in long in the direction of Messina, who won the header. Decore's clipped Matt Ritchie from behind as he tried to clear the ball away, and that will be a free kick. So @TalkSport Live for all your tweets. Let me know where you're listening from today, where you are in the world, and also who you're supporting. Albeit, if you're a Newcastle fan, looking forward to another season of Premier League football with safety secured under Steve Bruce, or if you're a Watford fan, maybe a little bit nervous on what the next and final few weeks of the season could bring. 21 minutes gone, Watford 0, Newcastle 0. Thought this game would be tight, but it's starting to open up a little bit more now. Welbeck just beaten off the ball. Matt Ritchie is fouled by Danny Welbeck. And Welbeck now will launch this ball long. Kiko Firmino will get there first. It's with Jonjo Shelvey though collecting for Newcastle. All on the halfway line with Danny Rose. Danny Rose making his 11th appearance since joining on loan from Tottenham in January. Do wonder if that will become a permanent move in the summer. It has impressed. I say in the summer, we're in the summer. It does seem weird having football in July, but here we are. Now Lascelles back to Jonjo Shelvey. Back with Danny Rose. It's a patient approach from Newcastle. Steve Bruce looks on. Maximan into the middle now for Shelvey. Get it out wide to Matt Ritchie. You deliver the cross to the far post. It's cleared away off the head of Kabasele and behind for a Newcastle corner. Good defensive work there by Messina. It was a good floated cross by Ritchie. He had to see out the danger. A chance now for Newcastle to send forward their centre-backs and cause a little bit of trouble from set pieces. Trotting across to this far side is Matt Ritchie. Ritchie will take it left-footed, whipped into the near post, held on and knocked in, but was he offside? The flag hasn't gone up and Dwight Gale has scored for Newcastle. I do wonder if VAR will take a look at this, but it's Newcastle and Steve Bruce's men who have taken the lead here at Vicarage Road. Could this be a cruel blow to Watford in their bid for Premier League survival? Ritchie's corner whipped in, a flick on at the near post by Federico Fernandez, and Dwight Gale arriving late to knock the ball in from close range. It's Watford 0, Newcastle 1. That's a beautifully flicked header from Federico Fernandez. Played to perfection that from Matt Ritchie. Just a corner that was begging someone to help it on and put it back into the danger zone. And Fernandez flick. And there was Dwight Gale, who wrestled free of his man, got to the far post and steers it in. And he's rewarded with a goal on his 7th start of the season. Justifies his selection today ahead of Joe Linton. It gives Newcastle a 1-0 lead as we head to the drinks break. But before that goal, Watford had been largely on top. Although it must be said, Newcastle were doing a bit more with the ball, but they weren't having as much of it. It's kind of how they've worked this season. They've been so well drilled under Steve Bruce. Well, they can see this game out until the half-time whistle. 25 minutes or so to go until that. Only lost one of their last 24 Premier League games when winning at half-time. Very difficult team to turn around once they get ahead. Just looking at the replay once again, it was Federico Fernandez with the flick on Dwight Gale, and you have to say, I think it was Decore who didn't go with his man. Allowed Gale to get there first, but it was such a good flicked header from Federico Fernandez, it just needed knocking home. And it's Newcastle who have the lead here at Vicarage Road, 1-0 with 25 minutes gone. Steve Bruce out in the technical area, the sun's shining down on him. I'm sure Newcastle fans all over the globe happy with what they've seen so far. As it stands, Norwich set to be relegated with West Ham winning by 1-0. Watford 3 points ahead of Bournemouth in 18th, but Bournemouth of course do play tomorrow against Leicester in a big game there, so this is far from ideal for Nigel Pearson. I'm sure he would have earmarked this game, Newcastle at home, especially with them safe, as definitely a winnable fixture. I know it's been said a lot, but you do wonder about the absence of the crowd and the effect that might have had. You haven't got the support to really try and jeer the team up, try and get the momentum swinging back in your favour. Instead, the drinks break right after the goal, giving Nigel Pearson a chance to address a few things, as Watford now go in search of the equaliser. It's Will Hughes holding the ball up down the left flank. Dwight Gale got the last touch, and it will be a throw-in on this near side to Watford. Cena trying to find movement inside the box. He'll look to throw this long into the penalty area. Deeney will come short. The ball bounces over the defence. Might drop here to Welbeck with his back against the goal. Welbeck again just beaten to the ball by Shelvey. Then Deeney comes across. He wins it back. Deeney back here to Hughes. Just chips the ball straight up in the air. And it's into the arms of Martin Dubravka. Very simple save. In the end, a wasted opportunity. Remember, Watford had hit the post through Danny Welbeck, forcing a really good save from Dubravka. But Newcastle from the corner. Ritchie's delivery, which was flicked on by Federico Fernandez. There at the far post was Dwight Gale. And a free kick here as Decore just caught his man in the middle of the midfield. Game starting to get away from Watford a little bit. Bit of frustration bubbling over for the Hornets. Nice free kick as Foster sorts out his defensive line. Quite a high line right on the edge of the D. Shelvey will stand over it and look to whip it in, I'm sure. Right-footed, floats it out to the right flank to find Alain Saint-Maximin. He's got two men to try and beat. Can't beat the first one in Troy Deeney, but then wrestles back. In fact, he's able to win possession off of Deeney. And has he done enough to win a corner? I think he has. Good work there by Alain Saint-Maximin. 2 goals and 3 assists in his last 5 games. Newcastle have won 10 of their last 19 when he started. They're in pole position at the moment, leading by 1-0. And another corner from this near side, which Matt Ritchie will take. This is where the first goal came from. Could be looking for a repeat. Who's on Federico Fernandez? It's played in again to the penalty area, and again it's underneath Ben Foster, who punches the ball. Didn't quite know where it had gone. In fact, it went behind him, but safely behind to concede another corner. They are looking shaky here, Watford. Might have been a little bit of a push there as well by Decore on Dwight Gale. You can probably hear some of the players being picked up by our pitch side microphone saying, stay with your man, you've got to mark up. Newcastle trying to take advantage of Watford's weakness at set pieces. It's played in again, it's cleared away by the near post. That's another dangerous corner from Matt Ritchie. There's a 1-2 with John Joe Shelvey, edge of the box, whips it into the near post, goes right across goal. No one in a Newcastle shirt could get a touch. Kiko Femenia tries to get it cleared, it deflects back to him, and the Spaniard will thump it long and away from danger. They are looking very, very shaky. So far, Watford down by a goal to nil. Half an hour gone. 1-0. Newcastle lead at Vicarage Road. Watford did come from behind, though, of course, on Tuesday night against Norwich. As it stands, the Canaries are dropping out of the Premier League today because they are down by a goal to nil against West Ham. Craig Dawson, pass out wide to Will Hughes, couple of yards inside his own half. Looking for runners, no real movement. Newcastle holding firm with their shape after going ahead through Dwight Gale. Nice work in the midfield by Danny Welbeck. He showed too much of the ball to Alain Saint-Maximin. Comes across the halfway line, tackled there by Will Hughes. The loose ball will spring free for Jamal Lascelles. Back to Federico Fernandez. Now over to Manquillo. He's thumped up in the air and away towards Messina, who wins the header. It's back with Watford. A few sloppy passes starting to creep into Watford's game. Decore trying to run forward and drive Watford further up the field. Saab, really poor pass, cut out by Matt Ritchie. Watford are doing nice work. Etienne Capoue has gone in and caught Miguel Almiron. I just wonder whether or not if his studs were up as he slid in there. Capoue does have a little bit of history of being quite an aggressive player, does the holding Frenchman. It's brought from Toulouse to the Premier League by Spurs for joining Watford. The studs were up, and at the last moment he brought his foot down when he made the challenge. I'm not sure if VAR will look at it. It certainly left his mark on Miguel Almiron. Paraguayan stayed down, receiving treatment. I think he's going to escape here with just a caution from the referee. Almiron's back on his feet and smiling with that bright grin he normally wears. Top scorer so far this season in all competitions for Newcastle. Most of those goals coming in cup games. Been a fairly decent acquisition from Atlanta United many years ago. Jamal Lascelles now the Newcastle captain. His 150th league appearance for Newcastle. And the ball's worked down the right flank, get held up nicely by Dwight Gale, giving back to Manquillo, whose cross is cut out by Craig Dawson and smashed clear diagonally, but Troy Deeney will give chase in vain. Won't be able to keep it in play. .33.5 minutes gone. Watford 0, Newcastle 1. Not really been the best performance so far from a Watford perspective, but for Newcastle, they're doing their jobs very well. And probably good value for the lead as the game's grown on. They did force an early save out of Foster from Almiron. And going ahead through Dwight Gale. The looking for their 6th away win of the season. Lost 3 of their last 5 away games, Newcastle. Only had a clean sheet away from home in 1 of their last 9. That was a win over Southampton back in March. These are all sort of pre-lockdown stats, though, of course. Well, here's Alain Saint-Maximin getting onto the loose ball, going right the way through to the penalty area, drawing a really good save out of Ben Foster, who left the trailing leg just as Saint-Maximin tried to open up the angle. Ben Foster said no and keeps it at 1-0. How vital will that save prove to be for Watford as this game grows on? Really haven't started to gel the way that Nigel Pearson would have wanted in this first half. Watford, maybe he can address things in the second. Dubravka will launch long. Dwight Gale is beaten out to the ball by Craig Dawson. Here's Danny Welbeck with his back to goal. Just very well to find Will Hughes. Hughes chips it in to the edge of the penalty area. Deeney tried to stretch out a leg and make a touch, but all he did was clear the ball away. As far as Manquillo, who then launches long. Head tennis going on the halfway line. Messina headed forward again. Hughes will jump up. Lascelles beats him to the ball, and Lascelles goes down theatrically, claiming he was pushed from behind. Referee says no, it'll just be a free kick. A throw-in, I should say, to Watford. Thanks to Bulbasaurus Rex for tweeting in to @TalkSport Live. Says, on the road, heading to the beach with the pup. She's enjoying the commentary, and so am I. Keep up the good work and stay safe. Thank you, Bulbasaurus Rex. And you can tweet in to @TalkSport Live. Let me know where you're listening from today and who you're supporting and where you are in the footballing world. These early games not so good if you live across the Atlantic. Nice early morning start. A breakfast of Premier League football. As Matt Ritchie has stayed down here after being caught. There's a jump by Messina. Just caught him a little bit in the end. It was more the landing on the back for the Newcastle midfielder. Stayed down receiving it. It's actually Fabian Schär who's stayed down holding his shoulder. Schär actually scored in the 1-1 draw with Watford back on August the 31st earlier this season. He's been playing more of a holding midfield position today, and he's done quite well because it gives you the opportunity to double up and almost make it a back 5 when you want to defend solidly. Just looking at a replay of Dwight Gale sneaking in to score. There's no way he was offside. He'd covered quite a lot of ground to get there. It was Miguel Almiron, though, who ducked to leave the ball for Gale. I do wonder if he was in Ben Foster's vision. But that's the thing with VAR now. Players score and they're not too quick to celebrate just in case it gets cancelled out. But a pretty big smile on the face of Dwight Gale, who's given Newcastle and Steve Bruce a 1-0 lead here at Vicarage Road. Adding to their points tally. Still waiting on the news of that takeover bid with Mike Ashley and his attempts to try and sell the club as Troy Deeney wins a free kick. About 25 yards out on the left side of the Newcastle half, and this will be something that maybe Will Hughes will have a look at. Troy Deeney's come across to have a word with Etienne Capoue. And I think Capoue is going to be the man to deliver this free kick, and Deeney is now going to trot inside the box and look to cause a little bit of chaos in amongst the Newcastle marking. Dubravka tries to sort out a 2-man wall in front of him. Lots of yellow shirts mixed within the orange of the Newcastle defence. Well, Hughes is the option for an outswinger with the left. Capoue is the option with the in-swinger with the right. It will be a dummy from Capoue, an outswinger from Hughes with his left. It's almost going to run to Deeney at the far post, but Dawson got a flick on, and if anything, that flick on took it away from the Watford skipper, and behind for a goal kick. He struggled to keep it in. You just wonder if Dawson had left that. It was a nice delivery. It was dropping well for Deeney. Maybe if he hadn't made that touch, it might have fallen to his captain. Sales will clear this ball long out of play for a throw-in for Watford. With 5 minutes to go until half-time. Remember, you can tweet into @TalkSport Live. Let me know where you're listening from today and who you're supporting. On a big day in the Premier League where one of 3 clubs will be going down. That one could be Norwich. As it stands, they could be going down. They need to overcome a 1-0 deficit and take something from that game. Though, if you're Daniel Farke, this scoreline here at Vicarage Road is good news, but it's immaterial if you can't beat West Ham. Here's Messina in the left-back position. He'll launch it long, up in the direction of Welbeck. Flicked on, Sarr will give chase. He'll get there ahead of Rose. Sarr will get the ball down inside the penalty area, chip it for Welbeck with the header. Couldn't get any sort of connection. And it's a very tame effort that Dubravka had to run well out of his goal from to just collect. Better though from Watford, encouraging. Slightly more direct. Danny Rose was a little bit lax with the defending. Allowed Sarr to nip ahead of him and just scoop that ball towards the penalty spot for Welbeck to try and get the header away. Will we see a resurgent Watford in the second half, or will they try and finish this first half strong? There are options on the bench for Nigel Pearson, but this will not be a result I'm sure he'd be very pleased with, or a performance. Watford are capable of so much more, especially under his tutelage. Newcastle holding firm by a goal to nil. Throwing over on the far side. Foul in the back of Sarr, again from Danny Rose this time. It's twice he's fouled the Senegalese winger. I do wonder if Craig Pawson's going to start totting that up and start brandishing yellow cards in the second half. Another free kick. Chance for a set-piece delivery. It'll be Hughes or Capoue who will assess the delivery. Going to be 4 Watford attackers that will go forward. There's about 6 or 7 Newcastle defenders. Already going to be outmatched if it's not a good set-piece delivery. Could be Hughes right-footed. If he's looking to in-swing it, maybe just drop it underneath Dubravka. He's going to leave it though for Capoue. And out-swing it to the near post. And it down. Dawson. Did that hit an arm? Dawson with an effort to scramble inside the 6-yard box. Doucouré with a chance. That shot was blocked. It'll break away here for Miguel Almiron. Doucouré tried to pull him down but couldn't even grab his shirt. The Paraguayan has sprinted away. Now he's run into trouble. Pemenya's gone down wanting a free kick, and he'll get one. I think Doucouré might be lucky to escape without a yellow card. Really quick, lightning fast break there on the counter from Miguel Almiron. Just wonder if Watford sensed there was maybe a handball in the build-up from that free kick. It was Capoue's delivery. And Dawson headed it down, and the man that stayed down was Matt Ritchie. VAR won't have a look, so if there was a check, it's been completed and we can play on. But a really good break down the other end by Almiron, just ended up not having enough support, and he was outnumbered in the end. Danny Rose with a heavy touch under pressure here from Sarr. Doesn't quite know where he's going, Danny Rose. Instead gets a push in the back from Sarr, and that was again silly from Watford. Rose wasn't going anywhere. If Sarr didn't make the touch, he would have got a corner, but instead just left enough contact on Rose for him to go down and buy the free kick. And Nigel Pearson remonstrating from the edge of the technical area, saying exactly what I've just said. He's going nowhere. You don't need to touch him. As it stands, it's Watford who are going nowhere in the table. Still 3 points clear ahead of Bournemouth and the drop zone, but losing by a goal to nil here to Newcastle. And with the likes of Aston Villa and Bournemouth still to play, it's going to be difficult. Kenzie Isra Akapala has tweeted in, thank you for your classical commentary of the Watford Newcastle game in the Garden City of Porthacourt. Thank you for tweeting in, do appreciate it. Do let me know where you are listening from today and here supporting. Such as David, another listener from Tullymore County, Ireland, enjoying the game. Thank you, David, for getting in touch.
Let him deal with it, Danny. Be in front. Be in front, John.
You can hear our managers being picked up from the pitchside microphones. It certainly gives you, the fan, a chance to listen to things maybe you wouldn't normally hear in a radio commentary. Of course, we'd have the crowd inside the ground roaring the teams forward, but instead you can hear almost every word uttered from the managers and the players. Some of them are repeatable, some of them not. A minute to go before half-time. Jamal Lascelles will launch the ball long. Dawson wins the header, drops down on the halfway line, but collected by Newcastle and Manquillo. Dawson challenged by the Spaniard, and we've got 3 minutes of added on time as that ball goes out of play for a Newcastle throw, and they are the team in the driving seat at the moment, leading by a goal to nil. Dwight Gale with the goal. Federico Fernandez with the flick at the near post from the corner to find Gale at the far post to just tap it in. Could well be enough if Watford don't buck up their ideas in the second half. Do have Chalobah, Cleverley, Jean Pedro, Andre Gray, Roberto Pereira and Ignacio Passetto on the bench. For Watford there are attacking options. If you're Newcastle, the likes of Longstaff and Bentaleb you can bring on to shore things up, along with DeAndre Yedlin and Emil Kraft, if you want to hold on to this 1-0 lead. I do think they deserve to be ahead here, Newcastle. Watford haven't really threatened as much as they would have liked. They started brighter, the two teams, in the opening few minutes, but have faded since. And Decore, who was coming forward, is caught there by Jamal Lascelles, and I think he knew what he was doing, and the referee was on to it and will give him a yellow card there for the Newcastle skipper. 150th league appearance for Newcastle today, and he celebrates it with a yellow card. And West Ham 2-0 up now against Norwich. It looks as if the Canaries will be going down and leaving the Premier League this afternoon. Free kick sent in, Dawson goes in. Two players went down inside the box there between Watford and Newcastle. It was Fernandez and Welbeck, and then off the ball Lascelles is having coming together with Craig Dawson, and I think Dawson is saying I was grabbed by the throat. Now the referee might have a problem here because Lascelles has already been booked. There's no offside. Dawson into Son. Now what happened here? Now Dawson climbs, wins the header fairly. Capacele came in and caught Federico Fernandez, who stayed down. It was a good defensive header from Federico Fernandez. Then off the ball there was a slight coming together between Lascelles and Craig Dawson, but the referee's just given him another warning and basically said, be careful, you're already on a yellow card. There'll be nothing else, and Dubravka will take this kick. Dropped down off the head of Sir Maximan. Craig Pawson looks at his watch, and there'll be nothing more of the first half. It's Newcastle who go into the break. A goal to nil up through Dwight Gale. It was a Matt Ritchie corner from the right, left-footed, whipped in. Federico Fernandez with a lovely flicked header from the near post to direct the ball across goal. There was Dwight Gale arriving at the far post to tap it in. And for Newcastle, just helps them add more points on the table. But for Watford, it's a disaster to be down by a goal to nil at the break in their fight for Premier League survival. Will we see a second half turnaround from Nigel Pearson's men? here at Vicarage Road. We shall find out in about 10 to 15 minutes' time when I'll be back for second half commentary. But at the break, it's Watford 0, Newcastle 1. It's now back to John Anderson and Chris Perry for the half-time analysis of West Ham at Norwich.
People working, and to make social distancing easier, we've installed screens in kitchens and service areas. Before reopening, all our restaurants will be deep cleaned, and we'll be cleaning equipment and surfaces even more often. For now, we're open for reduced hours and serving a reduced menu. And to keep everyone moving quickly and safely, please use contactless payment. With smaller teams, service will take longer than usual, so thank you for your patience. To see if your local McDonald's is open, visit mcdonalds.ie. McDelivery at participating restaurants only.
Hi, John here from Carl's of Tullamore. For the past 40 years, Carl's have been crafting premium succulent deli ham, cooked to perfection using our signature recipes, taking our time to get this product just right for you. Experience the true taste of tradition. Ask for Carl's at the deli counter.
The switching revolution continues at Carphone Warehouse with deals you won't find anywhere else. Get the Huawei P30 Pro and a GT smartwatch for just $49.99 on a €40 a month plan with Vodafone, now with unlimited data. But only when you switch at Carphone Warehouse. And get the iPhone SE for free when you switch to a Vodafone €40 a month plan with unlimited data. So get into your local Carphone Warehouse store and join the switching revolution today. T's and C's apply. Offer subject to availability and 24-month contract.
Home, where we find all the things and people we cherish most. It's where we take a break from whatever is happening outside, stick the kettle on and bake even more banana bread. Whether late at night, early in the morning, or even a time you're not there, your home should always be your safe place. At PhoneWatch, we work 24 hours a day to ensure our customers always feel safe. Get PhoneWatch installed for just €199. Monitoring fees apply.
I'm 43. We have one dependent, a daughter.
You'll never defeat me!
Yes, I will! Sorry, where were we?
Want to talk pensions while playing table tennis with your daughter? Now you can. Chat from home by video or phone with your financial broker or advisor about retirement planning with Irish Life. It's a smart way to get your pension sorted and really perfect that backhand. We know Irish Life. We are Irish Life. Irish Life Assurance plc is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Now is the time to get out there and check into a Clayton Hotel. We've plenty of space and incredible deals so you can enjoy a great escape. You'll love our wide open lounges and spacious rooms and restaurants in superb locations all over Ireland. Don't delay. Experience Clayton's affordable luxury while you can. Relax and unwind in our wonderful spaces at great rates. Book a break at Clayton Hotels from a very special €99 per night at claytonhotels.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back. Well, Norwich City, we all knew they were headed out of the Premier League. It's just a matter of dotting the I's and crossing the T's now. But more importantly, I guess, for West Ham United, 2 goals to the good. They will be thinking, with the run-in that they've got every opportunity now of staying in the Premier League. These were the highlights of the opening half. Norwich don't get it clear, and it's volleyed into the net by Mikel Antonio. West Ham United get an absolutely precious goal with 11 minutes left. Straightforward set piece. The corner flicked on, and Mikel Antonio with a really crisp volley into the top of the net from close range. It's Norwich 0, West Ham 1.
It's just a simple corner, isn't it, to the near post. Issa Diop gets up above Mario Vrancic, flicks the ball on, and there's Michael Antonio in the middle of the 6-yard box, completely unmarked. I don't know where Ben Godfrey is. He's the wrong side, and he just volleys it in gleefully with his right foot into the roof of the net. Tim Krul's got absolutely no chance from that range. And Norwich caught out yet again, can't defend set pieces.
Here's the delivery, there's the header.
Antonio.
It's another goal, it's Antonio at the double for West Ham. What a perfect time to score. 30 seconds into added on time. Norwich have conceded again from a set piece. Noble floating it in, and Mikel Antonio with his head finding the corner to add to the earlier goal. It is Norwich 0, West Ham 2. Well, West Ham United leading by 2-0, and Chris, really absolutely no signs that Norwich are going to muster anything by reply. I mean, in many ways, this is the perfect game for West Ham, isn't it? And added to the fact that Watford are losing, it could be an absolutely wonderful day for the club.
Yeah, absolutely. And we said before, didn't we, as a game that you felt West Ham had to win, and they've attacked the game from minute one in the perfect manner. They've dominated in terms of territorially. They've played most of the game in Norwich's half. They haven't had as much possession as Norwich, but they've made a lot more of it. 10 shots at goal. They've scored 2 goals from 2 really well delivered set pieces, and they have caused Norwich all sorts of problems. Michael Antonio has run them ragged.
Yeah, he's been absolutely brilliant. Not just his goals, but he's been terrific. I mean, he's the sort of player, he plays with his heart on his sleeve. He tries hard. He's been the beating heart of West Ham United, really, and you'd almost like to see him get a hat-trick, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. He deserves it. I mean, he leads the line so well. He's such a good outlet for them because he's so mobile. You can play balls down the side and he can get onto them. He can hold the ball up. He can do everything that a centre-forward, and the only question mark over him as a top centre-forward is he going to get enough goals? He's got a real opportunity today to fill his boots.
Yeah, definitely. What's the message from David Moyes? I mean, obviously he's sitting pretty, and I suspect he's feeling pretty comfortable inside, but does he push on and try and get a cricket score, or does he
just play the same? Just keep playing exactly the same. It doesn't need to change anything. It doesn't need to be more defensive. It doesn't need to be more attacking. It is literally wait for Norwich to give the ball away, which they will, and then go and hit them on the counter-attack. You've got that out ball every single time. Every single ball that they've played forward, Michael Antonio has got on the end of. He's held it up. He's brought others into play.
And Norwich City, I mean, if you ever needed a demonstration of why they are where they are, they've pretty much demonstrated it for us today, haven't they, in a nutshell?
Yeah, pussycats in the opposition box and in their own box too. They don't defend. They don't have players that want to defend. They don't have players that want to stick their head in where it hurts, and that's why they've conceded 2 goals. They play some pretty stuff, but just haven't got the quality in the final third, and when they give it away, they're so open on the counter-attack.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't forget, we've got plenty more coming up. We've got 3 more live games for you. We've got Brighton against Manchester City. That's the late game at 8 o'clock. Sheffield United and Chelsea, both chasing Europe at 5:30. But next up, we've got Russell Hargreaves and Dave Kitson, and they'll be bringing you Liverpool, the champions, against Burnley. No Jordan Henderson, of course. He has got injured and is out for the season, as was confirmed by manager Jurgen Klopp.
It's a knee injury, but no surgery needed, and yes, he will not play anymore in the latter stage of this season, but I'm pretty positive that he will start with us the new season. So it's really, we were all concerned obviously in the moment when we saw him going down and when he left the pitch and stuff like this, and yesterday when we got the news, it was a big relief for all of us, and so it's not cool obviously, but it's the best we could get, and Hendo will be back. He's a quick healer, and he will be back soon.
Jurgen Klopp's the only manager who would describe a player's injury as not cool, but it's been a pretty cool season for Liverpool. I can give you an actually interesting stat which surprised me. Jordan Henderson, obviously he won't be playing when Liverpool lift the trophy, but he's obviously going to hobble up as captain and lift the trophy. The last time Liverpool won the league in 1990, the same thing happened to Alan Hansen, who was unfit for the last game, but off the injury table to hoist the trophy. And Jordan Henderson, I don't think it'll spoil his day too much. If you're going to get injured, Chris, it's probably not a bad time when you just pitch the title.
It's a good time. They've won the title, haven't they? You know, I'm sure he'd love to be involved in trying to get over that City's points total of 100, trying to get more than 100 points and setting a new total. But he's been excellent all season. He's led that team so well, and now it's a chance for other players to come in and show what they can do.
Yeah, absolutely. They've got Burnley today, Burnley have had a fantastic restart, haven't they? They've done incredibly well. They defeated West Ham, of course. They're only 3 points off 6th place, Burnley.
Burnley are always in and around it, aren't they?
On the door, aren't they?
Sean Dyche always does a brilliant job there, doesn't he? And I know earlier on in the season people were talking about them as possible relegation candidates, and again, they're pushing those Europa League spots. He does a brilliant job every season. He's such an underrated manager.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. More football tomorrow, of course. We start with Wolves against Everton at 12 o'clock. Then it's Aston Villa with a massive game for them. They'll be looking on with great interest. They'll be happy with the situation at Vicarage Road, less so with the one at Carrow Road. They host Crystal Palace, and when you look at Villa's fixtures to remain, that is arguably, and I don't mean any disrespect to Crystal Palace, probably the most winnable. Then of course we've got the North London derby, Arsenal's first ever visit to the Tottenham Stadium, but there won't be any fans, but always a big game regardless. And then Bournemouth, another of the hugely threatened sides, did themselves a little bit of good with a point against Spurs on Thursday night. They host Leicester City, who are currently fourth and have become embroiled in a top four battle, which looked as if they weren't likely to get involved in, but they are now, so that's a big game as well. Manchester United against Southampton on Monday night. We're back with the second half of Norwich West Ham in just a moment. You're listening to Premier League Live.
We all want to stay safe and protect each other from coronavirus. We do this by cleaning our hands, social distancing and covering sneezes and coughs. We can also do this by wearing a face covering. Face coverings help prevent people who don't know they have the virus from spreading it to others. They should be worn anywhere it's difficult to stay 2 meters apart, like shops or public transport, or when visiting anyone who's more at risk. Wear a face covering. Stay safe. Protect each other. See hse.ie for more.
When the day arrives for you to scrap your old car, help will be at hand. With Elves, the go-to place for car recycling, the process is easy. First, visit elves.ie to find a recycling facility near you. Next, drop your car off or have it collected. Finally, receive your certificate of destruction, ending your responsibility for the vehicle. And that's it. It really is that simple. You've done your bit for the environment and for your own peace of mind. For more information, visit elves.ie.
The Burke family saves €365 with the big summer save at Lidl. And you can make big savings of your own with our delicious ready-made mixed bean salad for just $1.49. There's our handy spinach, watercress and rocket salad packs at an incredible $1.29. And 250 grams of juicy Irish strawberries for only $2.49. Start your big summer save at Lidl.ie. Lidl, more for you. The Burke shop between May 21st and June 8th and receive a gratuity for participation.
From teaching them how to ride a bike to brushing their teeth, life lessons really matter. Teaching kids about help.
Well, hello and welcome back to our coverage of Watford versus Newcastle from Vicarage Road. I'm your host, John Howick, and you are listening to Premier League Live. So Newcastle 1-0 up at the break through Dwight Gale. Will we see a response from Watford in this second half as they bid to stay in the Premier League and pull further clear of the bottom three, or will they be dragged back down into a relegation battle? And will Newcastle pick up their 6th away win of the season? About to get underway. No changes at the break by either side. As it stands, West Ham are leapfrogging Watford. Up in their goal difference as well, with a 2-0 lead comfortably ahead of Norwich at the moment. And Norwich would be down if they cannot overturn that 2-0 deficit to win. Here, Watford have just got to get themselves back into this game early. They want to stand a chance of taking all 3 points. Maybe a point would be enough, but right now, Newcastle in the driving seat. And Newcastle to kick us off for this second half. John Joe Shelvey just waiting for the referee's whistle. No changes from Nigel Pearson or from Steve Bruce. I do wonder how long he'll keep it as it is, Nigel Pearson, from a Watford perspective. And we are underway once again for the second half, with Newcastle this time kicking from right to left and Watford from left to right. Ball booted away by Kiko Femenya. He's headed down. Given away in the midfield though by Lascelles might come for here for Welbeck. Now Decore, try to find Welbeck with a through ball. It's cut out. Decore slides in, and that ball deflects off of him from Manquillo's challenge, and it will be a Newcastle throw over on the far side. So the two teams in full. Foster in goal, defence from right to left for Watford of Femenia, Cavacelle, Dawson and Messina. A holding pair of Capoue and Will Hughes. Then it's Sarr on the right, Welbeck on the left, Decore in the hole, all behind Troy Deeney, the Watford skipper. On the bench for them this afternoon, along with Gomez, the backup goalkeeper, it's Mariappa, Cleverley, Chalobah, Cathcart, João Pedro, Gray, Passetto and Pereira. As for Newcastle, Dubravka in goal, back four of Manquillo, Lascelles, Fernandez and Rose. And it's St Maximan, Shah, Shelvey and Ritchie making up the midfield quartet, with Almiron just behind Dwight Gale up front, who scored the opening goal in this game that separates the two sides. And on the bench for Newcastle this afternoon, along with Darlow, Joe Linton, Muto, Kraft, Yedlin, Lazaro, Atsu, Bentaleb and Matthew Longstaff. Ball safely back in the hands of Ben Foster for Watford. Find themselves down by a 1-0. Looking to see if they can overcome Dwight Gale's strike. Just a little tap in from a few yards after 23 minutes. Separating the two teams. Matt Ritchie now switching the play from left to right, finding St Maximan, whose first touch let him down. Now Capoue. And the ball down to his feet from the throw-in. 2 minutes into this second half, Watford 0, Newcastle 1. Watford have lost 10 of the 11 Premier League games when they've trailed at half-time this season. The 11th game, you ask, was just a draw. They've lost 14 of the 17 games when they've conceded first this season, with 1 win and 2 draws. The all-important win, though, did come on Tuesday night in their last fixture against Norwich. Will there be a response from Watford? Nigel Pearson looks on. Was former Newcastle assistant manager under Glenn Roeder, who appointed him in October 2006 and in February 2008 after the reappointment of Kevin Keegan. So a little bit of history between the two. Has lost 3 though of the 5 league meetings with Newcastle. His last win was back as Leicester manager in May 2015. Side now have to mark up another Newcastle free kick. This is midway inside the Watford half on the left, with Matt Ritchie to take it. Just float this ball in left-footed. Nice sting to the ball as he makes a connection. It'll bounce down inside the penalty area. St Maximan tries to wrestle clear of Troy Deeney. He gets ahead of him. Deeney goes down wanting a free kick, doesn't get one. St Maximan fires the ball across. No one will get to the ball, but Matt Ritchie will get there on the left flank, get it back across the penalty area, and then fired over the bar by Dwight Gale. Fell nicely for him on the half volley, Dwight Gale, but he was just leaning back from the edge of the penalty spot. Just fired the ball over Ben Foster's crossbar. It remains Watford 0, Newcastle 1. It's a good delivery really, but Dwight Gale sort of snatched at the chance. Just his 7th start of the season, Dwight Gale today. He's already getting a goal to his name. He's now got 2 goals in 5 appearances against Watford. His 3rd goal of the season for Dwight Gale. Through ball now by Deeney, finding Femenia inside the box. Gets brought down, does he, by Matt Ritchie? He looks at the referee, and Craig Pawson has given a penalty. Now Kiko Femenia went down, quite delayed, but was there contact? Steve Bruce is not happy. Craig Pawson pointed to the spot. VAR will have a look. He just cut inside of Federico Fernandez and then cut back on Matt Ritchie. It's whether or not Matt Ritchie's follow-through was enough to bring the Spaniard to ground. Oh, there was contact. It's sloppy. Kiko Femenya might have invited it by not moving his leg out the way, but he doesn't have to do that as the attacker. And Matt Ritchie's trailing knee taking out the other leg of Femenya. And it's enough contact, I believe, for this penalty to stand. And Troy Deeney, who missed a penalty against Dubravka back in November 2018, will be the man to take the spot kick. It's a big moment for Watford, a big moment for Troy Deeney and for Nigel Pearson. Deeney only has one goal in his last 10 appearances this season from the spot against the man who denied him almost 2 years ago. It's 1-0 to Newcastle. Watford to try and level it up. Deeney from the spot. He scores straight down the middle. And Watford are back into it. It's 1-1. It's the captain who leads from the front. It's Troy Deeney from the spot. And Watford bring themselves level at Vicarage Road in the bid for Premier League survival. Watford 1, Newcastle 1. I think Dubravka might have got a finger to it as he dived the other way, but it was straight down the middle, hit with power from Troy Deeney, lashed it home. And Watford, just like they did on Tuesday night from 1-0 down, get themselves back level. Could they go on and win it? Shot from distance now from Dwight Gale. Straight at Ben Foster though, all along the ground from the edge of the box. It's a long ball forward from the restart from Newcastle. Ball came off the back of Cavacelle. It was Almiron to Dwight Gale with a nice little link up. Couldn't quite direct the shot past Ben Foster. Watford 1, Newcastle 1. At 8 minutes of the second half, still plenty of the game to go. This could be anyone's. Here's St Maximin. Now back to Fabian Schär. What kind of resolve do Newcastle have? Haven't got an awful lot to play for, of course. They are safe from relegation, but Watford have it all to play for. And here's Decore. Firminia's made a great run on the right. He ignores him. Gives it off to Welbeck inside the box. Tries to get it back across goal. It's blocked well by Lascelles, who comes clear away with the ball as the Newcastle skipper. Out from the back. And it's out once more for a Watford throw on that far side. Much better display in this second half from the Hornets. Looking to hurt Newcastle a little bit more. Through ball here to release Welbeck. Drives to the byline. Danny Welbeck cuts it back. Wouldn't quite fall to Will Hughes. There's a tussle inside the box and Danny Rose goes down. And that will be a free kick for Newcastle. And it looks as if Norwich are going to be relegated. A hat-trick for Mikel Antonio. It's 3-0 there. And Watford getting themselves level after Kiko Femenya was taken down by Matt Ritchie. And then Troy Deeney slamming that penalty home right down the centre of the goal to get Watford level at 1-1. Remember, you can tweet in to @TalkSport Live. Let me know where you're listening from today and who you're supporting. Always nice to know where we have Premier League fans across the globe. Imagine if you're a Watford fan, you're punching the air and very pleased. A cushion against Bournemouth now extended to 4 points, separating Watford and the bottom three, and the news that Norwich will be relegated today as it stands. 3-0 down they are against West Ham. Here's St Maximin over on the far side. 55 minutes gone, 1-1. St Maximin driving to the byline for Newcastle. Plenty of Newcastle attackers inside the box, but he couldn't find either of them. Some good defensive work here by Danny Welbeck to dispossess Manquillo. Now give it off to Etienne Capoue. Looks up, smashes this ball down the left channel. Welbeck will give chase. He won't get anywhere near that. And it's out of play for a throw-in on the far side. Better response from Watford. Troy Deeney, their top scorer in the Premier League this season with 7. Deadly from the spot, Troy Deeney. It's 2 goals in his last 6 appearances against Newcastle. Dubravka did save a penalty against him back in November 2018, but he couldn't stop that one. Certainly a much better reply from Watford since the break. They looked a little bit inept in the first half, no real attacking intent, looked a little bit out of ideas, but this second half, certainly getting the wing-backs further forward. It's brought them to life a little bit more as Fabian Schär trips Sarr. There'll be a free kick for Watford inside the centre circle. Etienne Capoue will tell the likes of Craig Dawson and Kabasele to trot forward as they'll look to thump this long into the box and cause a little bit of havoc from set pieces. He scored 4 goals this season from set pieces, Watford, which is a bit surprising. They'll launch it long though. Dawson will try and flick the ball on. He couldn't quite get it to a teammate. Cleared away by Federico Fernandez. Now hooked back into the danger area by Messina. Deeney will give chase. Lascelles will try and ease it out of play. And the free kick has gone against Troy Deeney. He thought he'd done enough to flick the ball off of a falling Jamal Lascelles, but instead the 2 skippers of the respective sides shake hands, pick each other up and carry on. 58 minutes gone. Watford 1, Newcastle 1. Big goal from Troy Deeney to bring them level. Oh, Will Hughes has tackled Federico Fernandez. Deeney with a chance. Oh, a really good save by Dubravka. But what an opportunity for Watford. And Troy Deeney pulls the shirt over his head and looks to the heavens. He knows that was a great chance. A mistake from Federico Fernandez. Charged down by Will Hughes. And then Troy Deeney with a strike from the edge of the box as the loose ball fell to him. But he hit it straight at Dubravka and straight down the centre of the goal. Big opportunity missed by Watford. Capoue now to Decore. Welbeck will try and clear. It's a poor pass. Sliding in though is Deeney. Did enough to help it onto Sarr, but Manquillo comes back. Good recovery with that challenge. And his tackle wins back possession for Newcastle. Thanks to Akene Ezra Okbala tweeting in once again, says come on Watford. Thank you for tweeting in to @TalkSport Live. Do let me know where you're listening from today and who you're supporting. Big goal that for Watford. What will Newcastle's response be? Here's Miguel Almiron. Busy little midfielder is the Paraguayan. Nice 1-2 with Shelvey, now worked out wide to Danny Rose with the overlapping Matt Ritchie, finds him just ahead of Kiko Femenya. Back to Danny Rose, his cross into the penalty area over the heads, just came off the thigh there of Messina and looked to break away. Ball slightly got ahead of Etienne Capoue. Good recovery from Will Hughes, and now Kiko Femenya once more can bring the ball forward. The Spaniard plays it infield to Sarr. Running through the middle, he's got no one on the overlap on the left, so he runs down the left channel on his own here. Beating 1-2 Newcastle defenders, now finds Troy Deeney, gets the ball stuck from under his feet. Welbeck on the turn, took a deflection! Oh, it's onto the roof of the net! Well, Danny Welbeck almost thought he'd scored his second goal in 2 games for Watford. Much like the script on Tuesday night, coming from a goal down to maybe take the lead. Deeney just got the ball stuck under his feet, got it back to Welbeck inside the penalty area, almost on the penalty spot. His shot took a deflection off 2 Newcastle defenders and goes behind onto the roof of the net for a corner. Are they looking at a handball here? It says VAR has already looked at it and it is no handball, no penalty. It will just be a corner, which Watford takes, sent into the near post. Back to Will Hughes once again for another attempt. Whips it up to the far post. Dawson looking for the header. Cleared away by the Lascelles. It'll break here for Etienne Capoue on the edge of the box. Capoue looking for options. Much better from Watford in this second half, really taking the game to Newcastle after getting themselves level. Decore's delivery, that's cleared away though, doesn't beat the header Federico Fernandez. It'll break for Miguel Almiron. His pass cut out though by the retreating Sarr, and back to the safety of Ben Foster in the Watford goal. Scored 17 goals in 10 home games under Nigel Pearson. Watford starting to find their shooting boots at the right time and the right end of the season. This point, as it stands, giving them a 4-point cushion ahead of Bournemouth and the rest of the bottom 3. And Bournemouth go to, they host Leicester tomorrow. As it stands, even if they win, it won't be enough to come out of the bottom 3, and that will be music to Nigel Pearson's ears. Certainly a much better response. Looks as if Danny Rose has had a chat with Welbeck after that appeal for handball, or the VAR look I should say. He did hit his shoulder as he was falling to ground, but I suppose the argument is he's not made an unnatural position with it. It's just the way he fell. It just had enough as well, that deflection, to loop it over the bar and onto the roof of the net. Lascelles the defensive header, collected by Matt Ritchie. Good chest and control, but slightly overruns the ball. Now flicked on by Dwight Gale into Miguel Almiron, 30 yards out, running through the middle. Good tackle by Craig Dawson to win back possession for Watford. Dawson forward to Welbeck, who's caught by John Joe Shelvey, and that will be, I think, a yellow card, which you probably hear Steve Bruce isn't very happy with that. It is going to be a booking for Shelvey. Or is it? How's that gone? I think that's gone to Manquillo instead. I thought it was Brandish in the direction of Shelvey, but it was the Spanish right back who was retreating, who conceded that foul, and who's been given the yellow card. Here's Will Hughes. It's 2 of Newcastle's back 4 now, already in the referee's notebook with yellow cards. Here's Decore, trying to play it through to Deeney. Deeney getting the ball out from his feet into Decore once more. He has a go, left foot in, but he was always leaning back. It was wide of the far post from the edge of the box. It opened up nicely there for Decore. Deeney brought the midfielder into the attack by holding the ball up well, shielding play and giving it off to Decore. Nice little 1-2 with himself to work the ball out from his feet. But Decore was always leaning back, always stretching, and in the end fires over the bar. We've ticked past the hour mark. Game's been coming along very nicely since the Watford goal. Minutes on the clock. It's still 1-1. And Foster comes off of his goal line and cleared that ball away. Took a big deflection, I think, of Dwight Gale, who challenged him. He's furious the decision has been given against Watford. Will be, I think, when we resume, a Newcastle throw. It's eventually launched back into play by Danny Rose. And pass forward is cut out by Matt Ritchie and out for a throw in for Watford. Nigel Pearson looking on. Pleased with the response, I'm sure, from his side. They've only won 6 of the 13 Premier League games. Sorry, they've only won 3 of the Premier League games where they've they've conceded the first goal. They're looking to see if they can do what they did on Tuesday night. Conceded first to Norwich, but came back to win the game 2-1. Danny Rose thought the ball was going to go out to play by this near touchline, but it didn't. So he turns and faces and clears the ball towards the halfway line. Now hooked forward again by Kabasele. Dini with the knock on, looking for Welbeck. That's cleared. Matt Ritchie playing a nice 1-2 with Fabian Scher. Back to Danny Rose. Decides to bring the ball forward. Gets knocked over by Troy Deeney. It will be a free kick. It's taken quickly. So Maximan could be in here. Foster's been sent down to the ground, and it's an own goal from Craig Dawson. But it's an offside, so the goal is not going to stand. There's a bit of drama here. So Maximan claims he was onside. It was taken quickly. Oh, is he offside? He snuck in behind Craig Dawson, and the flag went up, but Dawson stopped, and you shouldn't do that, because VAR will make the best of the decision in the end. The decision, fortunately, did go against Newcastle. Almost thought for the life of me that Craig Dawson had reinstated Newcastle's lead. It remains 1-1. There is the drinks break, which is probably welcome for Newcastle, but maybe breaks up the momentum for Watford. So 1-1 at the break. Remember, you can tweet into @TalkSportLive. Let me know where you're listening from today and who you're supporting. As one of the ground staff just cleans the goal mouth away to my right. These drinks breaks have given players and managers an opportunity to reassess what they do throughout periods of the game, and some are wondering, it's obviously brought in with the government guidelines to really look after the welfare of the players, if it could be a permanent thing. I understand that 5 subs, which has been introduced under the new guidelines, could also be a permanent fixture from next season. There are some that argue that the drinks break does come at a wrong time for teams on top. Certainly helped Watford get themselves back into a competitive position in this game at 1-1. They've been a better team since the restart. I think they have in the second half. Well, that's a play on this near side. Back underway with Will Hughes with possession. Danny Rose just wriggled free of Danny Welbeck and was able to clear the ball away. Good work by Kabasele. Now to Vermenia. Sarr, who's tripped. Fabian Scher who fouled him, and he's had a long chat with Craig Pawson. Not going to be a yellow card, just be a talking to. Looks as if Newcastle are readying a change with Joe Linton. They needed a bit of firepower. Only the 7th start of the season for Dwight Gale. Here's Capoue now, sends in this free kick, it's cleared away. Right break here to Kabasele. This is going to be a change now for Newcastle. Joe Linton is stripped off and ready to go. I think it could be Alain Saint-Maximin, maybe, who's coming off. Matt Ritchie's another. So Matt Ritchie is definitely coming off, and Joe Linton coming on. An opportunity then for the Brazilian to try and make more of a mark. Free kick though to defend first for Newcastle, floated in by Decore. It's out of play for a throw in. Minutes to go. Might have a little bit of stoppage time added on, but as it stands, 1-1. A point that helps Watford in their quest for Premier League survival. Will be a Watford throw on this near side. Danny Rose being clever, he was out of position, so he dropped the ball on the pitch. As Watford had a new ball ready to take the throw in, so it stopped play just a little bit. It's Decore now for Hughes. Hughes inside the box goes down under the challenge of Danny Rose. Hughes is saying that it was a fair challenge. Danny Rose is saying that he took a dive. Don't think VAR is that interested. Tumbled to the ground pretty easily there, Will Hughes. It's quite a tussle. Looks as if Sarr has won a corner off of Danny Rose. It has become a little bit scrappier. It's going to be Hughes to take this corner on this near side. Just Watford's second corner of the afternoon. Danny Rose wrestling away with Sarr underneath the watchful eyes of the Newcastle goalkeeper Dubravka, and it's straight down his throat. Got to the ball ahead of Craig Dawson. Dubravka. And he is going to roll this ball out for Newcastle and get them underway. As it stands, Watford 4 points clear of Bournemouth. Dini's won the ball back. It's with Decore. Just behind him, let him down. Joe Linton trying to release Dwight Gale on the edge of the box, but didn't really work out the way he would have wanted. Safely with Ben Foster. Into the last 15 minutes of the game. Nervous times for both these teams. They've not really followed the flow of the match in the last 10 minutes or so. Got a little bit scrappy. Another free kick given against Watford here. Sarr with a high boot. And the news that West Ham are 4-0 up against Norwich now. So Norwich definitely being relegated from the Premier League today. Watford clinging on to their Premier League survival, holding on to a point here. 1-1 at home to Newcastle. The Magpies not really showing the same level of intent they did in the first half, I should say, in this second half. Shelby's crossfield ball finds Joe Linton, second half substitute, trying to add a little bit more of an attacking option for Steve Bruce's side. Decore holds onto the ball well. It's Welbeck to Decore. Deeney flicks it onto Welbeck once more. It's slightly behind him, but he can wait for the spin of the ball and for his teammates to arrive. Here's Sarr, pushes clear of Federico Fernandez, who clips him, and that will be a yellow card for the Argentine. Came across there, Federico Fernandez, just brought him down, blocking off the run of Sarr. I think he was happy to invite the contact. Yeah, Federico Fernandez just came right across and brought him to ground. Free kick for Watford over on the far side. 13 minutes to go. Watford 1, Newcastle 1. Goals for Dwight Gale and Troy Deeney, meaning we're deadlocked at 1-1. Capoue and Hughes stand over the ball. Capoue will dummy it. Hughes will take the free kick, sends it in over the heads of the Newcastle defence, and back here to Sarr. High hanging cross, drops down, might come for Welbeck. Well, they're claiming the last touch came off a Newcastle player as they run out of the box, the Watford attackers, but will just be a goal kick. Another change coming for Newcastle. This one to try and solidify things in the midfield, it seems. Matty Longstaff and Nabil Bentaleb are ready to come on. Dwight Gale is coming off. Bentaleb replaces him. And the other change is Danny Rose to come off. Matty Longstaff to replace him. I would imagine that Shah maybe will come in and make it either a back three or possibly even a back five. It's not Matty Longstaff, it's Emil Kraft that's come on for Rose. I think Longstaff has sat back down, so apologies there. It is Emil Kraft who's come on. He can easily slot into that left back position. The Swede, and it's Firmino who goes up against him. This ball is cut out. Hughes tries to win it back, does well, and Watford keep possession. Decore hanging onto the ball, giving off to Hughes. Now worked out wide to Kiko Firmino. Can he deliver a good cross? No, it's blocked well by Emil Kraft. Out for a throw in on this near side. Thrown into Sarr, who's turned his man, got inside the box, pulled down by Manquillo, and once again Craig Pawson points to the spot. It's another penalty for Watford. And the Newcastle defence, both times, have been the architects of their own downfall. This time it was Sarr who turned his man, and Manquillo just got tangled around him. It didn't need an awful lot of contact, but there was contact nevertheless. And it will be another penalty unless it's overturned by VAR. Manquillo protests to the referee. Stuart Atwell is the man on VAR at Stockley Park. And I think they've had a look at it, and it will be a penalty. And it will be Troy Deeney again from the spot. Nigel Pearson, you can hear him saying, come on, big dog. Can Troy Deeney haul Watford from 1-0 down to 2-1 up? It's Deeney versus Dubravka, the second act. Is the sequel as good as the original? Troy Deeney from the spot. Steps up right-footed, scores! Troy Deeney at the double. Watford 2, Newcastle 1. A massive goal as Watford seek Premier League safety. Just like on Tuesday night, 1-0 down, now 2-1 up. And the captain once again leads from the front. Just like his original penalty, straight down the middle. The sequel's just as good as the original. It's Watford 2, Newcastle 1. Really nice finish from Troy Deeney. A punch of the air. A scream of delight from the Watford skipper. And the Hornets sting the Magpies. And that is great news for Watford. But disastrous news for Bournemouth and Aston Villa. The two teams that are still in the bottom three, with Norwich being relegated this afternoon. Oh, and Newcastle have given the ball away. It's Will Hughes here for Deeney for the hat-trick. It's blocked well by a recovering Lascelles, who's now limping. Is Decore with a try. That deflects up in the air and is caught by Dubravka. And Lascelles, I think, is going to go down here, needing treatment. Late drama at Vicarage Road. Well, Newcastle will play on. Lascelles seems to be okay. Newcastle are safe, but there's a matter of pride for Steve Bruce. They don't want to drop points that they have to. But for Watford, this is a massive, massive result. To overturn it in the way in which they have done. What a response this is under Nigel Pearson. And now as it stands, Bournemouth in 18th are 6 points off the nearest side to them. That could very well, that second Troy Deeney goal, almost relegate Bournemouth. Theoretically. They host Leicester tomorrow. But here at Vicarage Road, what a response from Watford in this second half. The Shah clips Will Hughes and picks up a yellow card. Now the changes for Watford are going to come. There's going to be no hat-trick for Troy Deeney. Maybe they look to pack the midfield and see this game out. He's going to be replaced by Tom Cleverley. Good afternoon. He comes off and is replaced by Tom Cleverley. Does give a little bit of a cushion for the rest of the midfield for Watford. 5 minutes to go. Watford 2, Newcastle 1. Capoue will thump this ball from right to left. Hughes will head it down. Welbeck on the turn. Welbeck does well to hold up the ball, but presented too much to Almiron, who's just chipped it out of play. And it will be a Watford throw, and they will take their time here, Watford. They're the right side of the scoreline. They lead by 2-1, thanks to a brace of penalties from Troy Deeney. And Watford fans, let me know how you're feeling, and Newcastle fans, you can tweet in to @TalkSportLive and let me know where you're listening from and just how important this result is if you're a Watford fan, to bring you a little bit closer 6 points closer as it stands, that gap between Watford and Bournemouth to Premier League safety. Ray Pawson's given a free kick against Watford, deep inside the Newcastle half, and there will be another change from Steve Bruce, and this is to take off Jamal Lascelles, so he's definitely going for things as he brings on Valentino Lazaro. Can operate as a wide right winger or as a flying wing back. Used to play for Hertha Berlin, and he's on loan is Lazaro from Inter Milan, the Austrian. And he comes on with his bandana and dreadlocks for the final 5 minutes or The second all-important Watford penalty that puts them 2-1 up here at Vicarage Road. And Quillo off to Alain St-Maximin. The Frenchman with the white bandana gives it back to Emil Kraft. The Swedes pass, just enough pace on it to evade Etienne Capous's outstretched leg, and St-Maximin with the cross for Newcastle to the far post. It's headed behind though, strongly by Emil Kraft for a goal kick to Watford. Really big day for Nigel Pearson. Off to Alain St-Maximin, where things have all come together since he came in December. He's taken what will be now 25 points from 19 games since his appointment on the 6th of December 2019. That seems like a long time ago, like a different world ago, of course, with everything that's happening around the globe. But from a Watford perspective, this will be one of the highlights of the season, I'm sure. Watford have managed to win themselves a throw deep inside the Newcastle half with 2 minutes to go. A lot of the Watford fans who are watching on Zoom and all the other media devices they can use are looking very nervous. Whereas the Newcastle fans a little disappointed, but they'll be pleased with the season overall. This game no doubt has bigger connotations on it for Watford than it does for Newcastle. That was always going to be the way. Still waiting to take this throw are Watford. Managed to run down quite a bit of time off the clock. It's going to be Kiko Femenya who will launch it down the right flank. Sarr will have his shirt held before Cleverley comes back in with the challenge and concedes a Newcastle throw this time. A reminder that West Ham are 4-0 up at Norwich, so Norwich will be relegated as it stands. And Watford leading here by 2-1. Foul on the back of Joe Linton. Thank you for your tweets all afternoon, by the way, into @TalkSport Live. It's always nice to hear from our Premier League fans around the globe. Glad to hear you're all having good weekends, wherever you are. Hope you all manage to stay safe and enjoy another good weekend of Premier League football. Will Hughes getting to the loose ball from the Newcastle free kick. Hughes can drive out to the left. Nice ball looking for Cleverley. Sliding in though was Bentaleb to win back possession, and Joe Linton can bring it forward for Newcastle. Nervous defending times now for Watford as Hughes cynically takes down the Brazilian Joe Linton. Picks up a yellow card for his troubles, but it might be enough to just run down the clock a little more. We are in the 90th minute now. We will see the board. Miracle Sampson says, I don't see Watford seeing out to win. I see a draw there against Newcastle. Well, the board is about to go up to tell us how many minutes of added on time that Watford do have to see out, as the Newcastle free kick has led to nothing. Craig Dawson was caught in the air and he stayed down a little bit. We've got 5 minutes of added on time. Nervous for Nigel Pearson. Nervous for Troy Deeney, the skipper, who's been taken off. 2 goals to his name. Has he scored the winning brace that will keep Watford in the Premier League? Premier League goals number 7 and number 8. Watford are going to make another change. The referee Craig Pawson has said he's going to add this on because Danny Welbeck is taking his time to leave. And Welbeck is putting quite a shift this afternoon. He's going to be replaced by Andre Gray, the man who started out in non-league football, playing for the likes of Luton Town. Comes on for the final few minutes to help Watford's quest to keep them in the Premier League. Long ball up towards Gray. Did win the header, but he didn't quite know where the ball had gone afterwards. It's cleared long. It's with Alain Saint-Maximin. The Frenchman turns away. Gets dragged to the ground, though, by Cabasele, who I think's lucky to escape not getting a yellow card. And it might be just because Newcastle want to resume action so quickly that he's not going to book him. Shelvey will take the free kick. Lots of bodies inside the box. Headed down and a good clearance, which will find Andre Gray. Fresh legs to run against Emil Kraft. He shrugs the Swedish defender to the ground, holds up the ball and gives it back to Will Hughes, who launches it across the halfway line. A bouncing ball hooked away by Nabil Bentaleb. We're halfway through the 5 minutes that have been added on here in injury time at Vicarage Road, and a free kick conceded by Watford on Fabian Schär deep inside the Newcastle half. Dubravka will take it. Nervous times for Watford. Watching the clock tick down every second. Dubravka will take it and launch it long in the direction of the penalty area. It's going to fall a few yards short and be hooked away by Cabasele. Now back with Manquillo. Cleverly chases him down. It's with Fabian Schär. Works it out to the left flank. Looking for Saint-Maximin. It's a bouncing ball. She does well to control up against Kiko Femenia and Decore. Femenia does enough. And Femenia will watch that ball. Well, I thought it was going to go behind for a goal kick. Eventually, when the ball stopped, it wasn't going to go. So he invited the challenge of Almiron, and the last touch off the Newcastle midfielder does send it behind for a goal kick. Nervous times. Nigel Pearson looks on, one of his assistants biting his nails. Hope he's used hand sanitizer. Troy Deeney has ice on his knee, by the way, as he stands up inside the dugout, looking on from the bench. Have his 2 goals today been enough for Watford to get a massive 3 points? Surely you would think they'd be safe now. 6 points clear of Bournemouth. With only 3 games, or 4 games to go for Bournemouth, but 3 games to go for Watford, you'd imagine that would be enough. Bournemouth would have to win 2 games, at least, the bare minimum, to make up the ground, and then take further points, while Watford pick up nothing. Throw into Watford, deep inside the Newcastle half, just where they want to keep the ball at this stage of the game. They lead 2-1. All inside the Newcastle box. Eventually it's cleared. Newcastle defending really hasn't been that great in this second half. Decore's played it off of Saint-Maximin. Decore, I think, has done enough to win the throw for Watford. What a comeback this is. What a turnaround on the pitch this afternoon and off the pitch since Nigel Pearson took charge. There goes the final whistle, and Watford do win by 2-1, coming from a 0-0 down after Dwight Gale broke the deadlock early in the first half for Newcastle when Federico Fernandez flicked on Matt Ritchie's corner. Dwight Gale was at the far post to knock it home from close range for Newcastle. Watford weren't at the races in the first half, but what an improvement in the second. Kiko Firmino was brought down clumsily inside the box by Matt Ritchie, and Watford got their first penalty of the afternoon, dispatched perfectly by Troy Deeney.
Mark Noble was excellent in that attacking midfield role. He controlled the game. West Ham controlled the game from start to finish and were just absolutely streets ahead of Norwich.
Absolutely spot on, Chris. Great to work with you again. Thanks for all your insight today. Thanks to you for all your tweets. Well, West Ham fans absolutely delighted. They've got the perfect result, and barring something, as I say, catastrophic, we will be seeing West Ham United in the Premier League next season. No doubt about the man of the match, the man who's got the match ball tucked under his arm. 4-goal Mikel Antonio. But it's farewell to Norwich City. We've enjoyed having you in the Premier Premier League this season, and of course there are 3 more games for them, but it is done. They are down. I'm John Anderson. Thanks for joining us. We wish you a very good afternoon on Premier League Live.
We all want to stay safe and protect each other from coronavirus. We do this by cleaning our hands, social distancing and covering sneezes and coughs. We can also do this by wearing a face covering. Face coverings help prevent people who don't know they have the virus from spreading it to others. They should be worn anywhere it's difficult to stay 2 meters apart, like shops or public transport, or when visiting anyone who's more at risk. Wear a face covering. Stay safe. Protect each other. See hse.ie for more.
When the day arrives for you to scrap your old car, help will be at hand. With Elves, the go-to place for car recycling, the process is easy. First, visit elves.ie to find a recycling facility near you. Next, drop your car off or have it collected. Finally, receive your certificate of destruction, ending your responsibility for the vehicle. And that's it. It really is that simple. You've done your bit for the environment and for your own peace of mind. For more information, visit elves.ie.
The Burke family saved €365 with the big summer save at Lidl. And you can make big savings of your own with our delicious ready-made mixed bean salad for just $1.49. There's our handy spinach, watercress and rocket salad packs at an incredible $1.29. And 250 grams of juicy Irish strawberries for only $2.49. Start your big summer save at Lidl.ie. Lidl, more for you. The Burke shop between May 21st and June 8th and receive a gratuity for participation.
From teaching them how to ride a bike to